Once every 100,000 years, the most epic party in the universe will be thrown by Ninja Sex Party, as it was foretold in the scrolls. So take that pudding, pour it on your chest and let it melt down to your genitals. It's go time. Oh shit! Congrats, your ass just got invited to the party of your life. Are you motherfucking excited? It's a Ninja Sex party, so you know it's the shit. I hope you like fun cause we're having it. Let's get this fucking party started! Oh god, it's all going down! Fuck yeah! Your life is bullshit until right now. Woohoo! Go ahead and let your pants hit the floor. Your destiny awaits behind that door. Here we go! Hey guys.
Hey!
You playing Dungeons and Dragons or...
Alright!
Hello and welcome once again to the third and final E3 special for Nerds Without Pants 2015 edition. I am Julian, and I am joined as always for the third time by Patrick.
Yeah, we're giving you the trifecta, everyone.
Yeah, you know, I thought we weren't going to do it. We
rallied.
We did. We are rallying. I am so tired. But also I was like, well, you know, we were both on all three times, or all, both times, and we probably exhausted what we have to say. But no, turns out we have both had time to look at things since the last episode where we were kind of relying on JD and Nick to kind of fill us in on some stuff that we had missed. But now we are armed with some new information and new impressions of things that we had not seen before. So
it's way better than we thought.
Yeah. What kind of has been jumping out to you, since you've been delving further into the E3 stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been finding a lot of the littler games that I had not seen in the press conference. I just went for some of the big stuff, and even some of the big stuff I hadn't seen everything that I needed to. The little stuff, for instance, in Dreams, you see polar bears playing in the snow, speeder bike that flies being shot by lasers. It looks like you're in Return of the Jedi or something, except airborne. It's awesome. And then it goes right into this doll kitty with a huge adorable face that gets angry and hits zombie dolls with a toy hammer. All those different things are dreams that you can create in this one big sandbox. I'm guessing it's kind of like Little Big Planet, except it's more cinematic, and it looks like almost stop motion animation, but it's so fluffy when they show the snow. It's so much more than you would ever think you would be able to play around with. It looks like professional level movie manipulation, because I'm guessing that's what it is. Throughout the whole time, they play Life is but a dream, and it just goes from one kind of music to another. It goes from the piano to hard rock, and then you see all these bubbles at the end of people making other dreams, and just it's like Little Big Planet taken to the next level. Oh, it looks so good.
How do you feel about the control scheme that they're using, where you're actually using the 6-axis stuff in the controller? I thought that was kind of weird that they were going that route.
I didn't even know I didn't see anything about a controller.
Oh, okay. I was looking at it on the Sony press conference where they were demonstrating it.
Okay,
and the way you manipulate stuff is actually you move the controller up and down and in and out and stuff to move things around. But I'm wondering if that's going to be enough control for that. I mean, it looks so complicated, but the way they showed it seemed effortless, and I just don't know how I can reconcile those two ideas.
The new 6-axis controller is such a better upgrade over the other ones, and you're probably thinking of your experiences with PS3 and not being able to make stuff happen, but
that's true.
I think I gotta stay hopeful, at least for this one, because all the other minor control issues that I thought I would have when certain games would have a little bit of a functionality with the controller didn't seem to be so. So I think they're erring on the side of caution, and this must be good, or must be the best way for it to happen if that's the way they're doing it. Because they wouldn't just totally screw it up with bad control scheme, right?
That's what I'm thinking. And actually, you know, I know when they showed it at the conference, I was like, this is a Patrick game for sure. But you should go back and check out the actual press conference demonstration to see the stuff that they're doing with the controller, because it's surreal and bizarre and really cool at the same time.
Yeah, so like I didn't watch the actual press conferences in their entirety. I just went like trailer after trailer, back to back, doming game,
Yeah,
and like
me
just
too.
taking the middleman out. So but I have been finding like a bunch of this new stuff in addition to Dreams. This game Sea of Thieves, which is like
Yeah.
massive multiplayer pirate game that looks like Secret of Monkey Island or something. What did you
Yeah,
think?
I was looking at that, and it's funny because when they're doing the first like walk in, like it's very slow and it's just kind of showing you the environment. And I was like, you know, this is one of those things where people will say, "Oh, but it looks so simplistic, and like you could do this on like last gen." But if you're really paying attention, it looks like just so gorgeous, but
Yeah.
highly stylized, and that's kind of what I've been wanting. I said this like before this generation even launched, is that I want to see people doing not realistic graphics with this fidelity, but I want to see people doing fantastical stuff, but still at a level that we couldn't achieve before. And
Yeah.
this one looks really nice. I couldn't get a good impression of what the game is. Like, are you really gonna are you really gonna have somebody who was like, I'm gonna play a deckhand? But you know,
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like some people might be really bored
yeah,
just being that deckhand, but it looked also like your favorite part in Black Sails, which was like the ship warfare, and somebody's
Yeah.
going to get to pull that trigger for those cannons.
yeah, that stuff looks really cool, and I want to see how deep it goes. And you know, again, I mean, man, coming away really impressed with the Xbox, and that's really I don't want to say it.
Yeah, is that
'Cause
exclusive?
That's rare. That's actually the first Rare game that they've done since like they were doing the Kinect stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny
Dang.
because I was listening to an interview with a couple guys from Microsoft on one of the Giant Bomb E3 episodes, and they were talking more about the backwards compatibility. And it's actually, they got the Xbox One to emulate the actual Xbox 360 operating system inside. So the Xbox 360 games think that they're being played on an Xbox 360. Meanwhile, the Xbox One thinks that it's just running a video game called Xbox 360, if that makes any sense. And basically, the work's pretty much been done. So all it takes for a game to be backwards compatible, with the exception of some games that take a little more work, but for the most part, the publisher just has to say, "Yeah, that's okay. You can go ahead and put our game on the list," and then bam, there you go. Bob's your uncle. So that's really cool because I mean, what publishers don't really have a lot to lose. Like, I think the only situations that you would run into where things wouldn't be playable on the Xbox One is situations where the game publisher is no longer in business and nobody has the rights to that game anymore. Which we've already seen. We've seen that, you know, happen already on Xbox Live Arcade, like last generation. But they're also saying that Kinect games won't work from Xbox 360. Obviously, I mean, the two Kinects are so different. And they're having trouble with multi-disc games but there's only like a handful of those on the 360. So that's a really tempting proposition for me.
Yeah, it sounds more and more likely like you'll get something like that. And if it's stylized graphics you're looking for, you don't only have to look there, but like Gearbox's new game, Battleborn, looks pretty crazy as well. It's got like sort of cel shady, but sort of watercolory graphics, but they're like chinks of glass or something in some points when you see some of these enemies. It's surreal when you get to play with like four arms and like see it in a first person perspective. Yeah, like there's 25 different characters that they're going to ship with. 10 are playable on the E3 floor. It's like,
Nice.
yeah, it looks like a game that they actually wanted to make. Some of the last couple seemed like they weren't putting all their ideas into it, but they were so happy about like their character creations, like, and how they like threw them up on boards and like were just riffing off each other. And it sounds like they had like a great time making the game, so it'll show in the final product. But yeah, Battleborn looks like a crazy first-person shooter coming from Gearbox.
Yeah, nice to see them taking a break from Borderlands also, because I really feel that they had a hit with that first game, and then they're like, we've got to make more of these until the end of time. And it's like, no, guys, like, slow your roll. You know, these are great, but let them trickle out about 3 years apart, and we'll be good.
Yeah. And the cool thing about all those players is they're deeper than the Borderlands players. Like he said, you'll have to level them up through the entire campaign or whatever it is, but you'll have to do them like one at a time because there's so much to do, and like you'll have the chance to level them up the whole way the first time, but it might not happen because
Yeah.
there's so many things to upgrade.
Yeah. Upgrading. No, I don't have a good segue for that. I kind of was just watching a bunch of random stuff. You know, I would like to say, just to start off, that I found I was having a big difficulty trying to find good like actual gameplay footage of stuff from E3 at websites, at video games centered websites. It's a weird shift in coverage and just in everything when GameTrailers.com, the website that deals in nothing but videos about video games, had the worst loading videos that I've seen and not very much in the way of coverage. And I just ended up having to go to YouTube, and I got a better picture and I got more at my fingertips. And it's like, guys, this is a problem, you know. Even my boy's Giant Bomb, like I was like, okay, this is just trailer. I'm not seeing any gameplay. It's just trailers. So I really had to go to YouTube to find like actual, like, okay, here is the developer sitting down with so-and-so at whatever website, and, you know, let's go. And here's some actual gameplay. So I did watch, well, actually, I kind of want to start off because you told me about it, like just like right before we started recording, but it's stuck in my head now. For Honor from Ubisoft.
Oh yeah,
dude, it's knights versus Vikings versus samurai.
Yeah, and the perspective shifts that it looks like you're able to do. You get to go from the top down to like pulling it right over the shoulder seamlessly. It reminded me of landing a plane when you're in No Man's Sky. It was like,
you saw that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but like it's like, isn't it the same kind of perspective shift? Like you're over the top in a view, and that's kind of like a twin stick shooter kind of view, and then you go like right into a third person Uncharted view, and it's seamless and it looks good either way. It's just something that I really hope is actually in the game and it's not just cinema.
Yeah, and you know what I like about it too is that it's a, you know, team-based multiplayer game. It's like 4v4. There might be more players than that, but what I liked is that in addition to the 4 human players on each team, you have a plethora of computer-controlled characters, and you can actually fight those as part of, like, you know, the match. So for someone like me who tends to not be all that great in multiplayer, I don't really have that killer instinct. I can be like, oh, I'm just going to go over here and take care of these AI fools, you know, and I'm still contributing to the team. So I really dig that. And also, allow me to play like armchair developer for a little bit. Because I've actually had this idea in my head for about 10 years or so. I had this idea for this like gladiatorial combat game that is from like a Power Stone perspective, so like kind of an overhead view. And my idea was to have all of the combat take place with the right analog stick, where you would swing the right stick, and you would, in your head, you would imagine that the right stick was the character's right arm. So imagine if you're like, you know, if the right stick is like your character, like representing their body. If you would jab the right stick forward really quickly, he would jab his sword forward. And then if you would swing from like back to forward, he would do this arcing slice, and so on and so forth. And then if you would like hold up a trigger, it would then bring up your shield, and you would use the right stick to actually block in the direction that you wanted to block in. And my idea was that it would give you this ability to have an actual honest to goodness sword fight instead of just, you know, slashing at a guy until you hit him. Like you would actually be able to block and parry and riposte and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For Honor has something very similar. It almost feels like to me like if that idea that I had been made 10 years ago, this would be the iteration of it for current gen. And that looks really cool. Like the actual fights that I saw where it's like, you know, actual human players fighting against each other with swords looks like a very cinematic sword fight. Like it does not look like just two guys hammering away at buttons. It looks like people thinking about what they want to do and then trying to execute, and the other player trying to think ahead of that and thwart and then counter that. And that could be very cool.
In addition to just the one-on-one tactics that look deep, it looks like there are like massive battle tactics you're going to need to do too, because they charge, they say like something that brings a bunch of fire down on part of the world. It's like you have the ability to command at a large scale and a small scale, and it's like playing on like a battle chessboard or something, like a board game, like going down and actually being a character and then being the commander from up top or something like that. It's just great controls and seamless integration both ways, I hope.
Yeah, and one of those things that looks like hella next gen, you know? I think No Man's Sky also, it's like maybe on their face, like graphically, they don't necessarily look like mind-blowing, but then you look at what's actually going on the screen and you're like, oh, wow, that's something I've never seen before. So that's really, some amazing stuff.
Speaking of things I had never seen before, I went back and watched more Fallout footage and came away like way more impressed than I was before, and think I might have to get the game when it comes out. Like, not only does it also have multiplayer that I didn't realize, it has like the weirdest, awesome character creation kit. Like, you just look at yourself in a mirror and you start pulling the sides really easily. There's no shaders or anything. You can like also switch like what kind of skin it is by pressing like probably R2 or R1 or something like that. I don't know how they even do it. Like, you could change into all different types of people, and then after that, after you do your wife, they make a baby based on the two of those in an algorithm like that makes the baby look exactly like what it would. It's like how long before we have this AI that is making real babies for us? It wasn't just the character creation. It was like the variety and everything. The enemy variety, they're like from things that were hit with the Fallout. I've never seen stuff like that before. Like, I guess they've had scorpions and things like that, but like the detail of them, and there's like big ogres that have boulders they're trying to use to smash you. It's like so much difference than I realized. I thought it was going to be mostly samesies kind of enemies, like all people who are like, I don't know, infected or stuff like that. But there's just so many different ways you get to go with it. There are people who you have to fight against. Like, there's one scene where you see NPCs fight to the death, and like they're in a cage, like UFC or something like that. And like, I think the chick puts two hands up and she's like going nuts like a cannibal. And like, that was fun to see too, because it's like there's so many little stories in a Fallout game, just like an Elder Scrolls game, that you can just come upon. But in this one, it looks like they're faster, because when you like slow down time to shoot different parts of the body, I didn't realize how much like I hated that in the other Fallouts, and that's probably why I didn't play them. It like just took so long to stop every time when you like really needed a good shot. And I don't know, does that feel cheap to you too? Maybe it does a little bit to me. Like, it takes something away from like the skill in a first person shooter, so I'm kind of hesitant because of that. But you can do it the other way until you really need it. So I don't know, there's like a trade-off.
Well, and I also didn't approach Fallout 3 like a first-person shooter, just like I never approached Mass Effect like a third-person shooter. I approached it as a role-playing game that's in first-person with guns. So that to that end, the actual VAT system made more sense to me, because it's almost like turning into a pseudo-turn-based thing. And so when I played Fallout 3, I was like, I wish I could do this all the time, but I can only do it, every once in a while, because you have to wait for your action points to fill back up. So
it was a pseudo turn-based thing. Yeah, and like I watched that concurrently with the XCOM 2 trailer, like the one after another. It was like, wow, I see so many similarities. Like, I watched XCOM first, and then when I watched Fallout, I was like, now I understand.
Yeah, and they both come from a PC lineage of that era too. So it's interesting to see them come into the modern day, and I mean, obviously they're going in different directions, but still having some of those touchstones that make them recognizable.
Yeah, XCOM like does the same thing with a totally different style of perspective though, which is great. And it looks like that goes faster too. Like one of the problems with the XCOM on the last system was like even when you move the person, there would be like like a half-second load time where he wouldn't start, and then he would kind of run, but sometimes it would tear the screen. And I don't know, maybe that was just the TV I was using it at the time, but I don't think so. I think it was a problem with the hardware. And they look to have ironed that out. They way more enemy variety in this one too, like snakes that are like in the sky, alien kind of things. Like it just looked like tons of variety, and it's a new way to play too. You're not the invaded anymore. You are the invader now. It's like 20 years after the last XCOM, and it's assuming that you lost, which is cool too.
Yeah.
Because everybody loses. Now I don't have to beat XCOM 1 to play XCOM 2. Because I've already got the right ending. Yeah. Like, shit. I don't have to give myself that excuse. But it looks like it'll be easier now that I know like I saw them play it, and I saw certain ways that they take down enemies, and like 3-in-1 and stuff that I didn't think of or didn't know were possible, and was like, oh, now I know this game's a little bit easier, and like the way they want me to upgrade and stuff by looking at that. But it'll also be easier because we don't have a fog of war. It's like the enemies are in a fog of war, so it's a big time stealth game instead of like just a straight up turn-based game where you're going after the enemy.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, I'm sure it'll get announced later on, but they've said pretty point blank right now that it's PC only. So, I'm wondering, and it could very well be a situation where they see, because I don't know, PC has become like a bigger deal recently, especially, I mean, people are saying like, oh, well, my rig is now, twice as powerful as what the PS4 can do. So, I'm not interested. And before, it used to be that like, the new consoles would come out and they would be like the top of the line for a good like 3 years or so, and then PC would catch up and surpass. But it seems like this generation PC's already done that, and so I'm wondering if like the XCOM developers are like, oh no, you know what? Like this is only a game for the PC master race, and maybe you get a bastardized port of it for console 2 years down the road from some other, from some splinter studio of ours. But this is where we're actually putting our money. So
yeah,
that's kind of a a
Know,
bummer.
though. It's a game that could come out on another system. It's not doing that much at once. I mean, it might chug a little bit. I guess I didn't realize that it was on only PC at the moment, but it looks like I got PC envy now because not only that, they have like the Total War game Annihilation coming out, and that was like such massive combat that was so varied as well. Like it was also like Vikings versus all this other stuff like For Honor kind of, except more of like a massive scale. Like, and it's 15 years for them, so they're like really having fun and like have really polished everything. I remember playing back like Rome Total War, and that was it was good, but like how far that they have come with how diverse their battlefields are now. It's like all different kinds of settings instead of just one in a game. It looks like it's going to be crazy, and only a PC can run that. But on the other end, like I saw Dragon Age Inquisition and was like, this doesn't look that different on the PS4. Like you can only get so good at graphics and to a point where like most of the stuff that's happening is behind the scenes, and then you just, I guess, take out some lighting and stuff like that. But it's not that much worse at this point.
Yeah, but then there's things, I hear weird things. Like today I just heard that remaster of Gears of War 1 is going to be coming to the PC, and it's going to output up to 4K, the 4K resolution, which there has not been a game that does 4K. Because that's the funny thing about those 4K TVs, like, they're showing them at Best Buys and stuff. It's like, oh, look at this pretty demonstration, but there's nothing that you can get that's in 4K. None of the movies play in 4K. There's no television signal that's 4K, but that game's going to be 4K, and it's like, holy crap. We probably won't have that on our consoles until the next generation, if there is one. And it's like, that's just really weird. It's weird to think about that. But I think, but you're also right. Like, to a point, it's like, this is good. You know, I don't know if I need that much more resolution. And at this point, I just need to make sure that all my games run smoothly and work.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And well, it's not all I want. We got to talk about for like the rest of this podcast the VR that was shown, because delving deeper into that, I've just been thinking how like this could really be a benchmark in like unveiling, and like when everybody finally realizes how big VR is going to be because of like some of the things we saw in this E3. It's just been shown off so much more than ever. This is like really the E3 that virtual reality is truly revealed, because they showed so many cool applications, not only with HoloLens and the Microsoft table showing that they had, or Minecraft table that they had, but also, you know, Morpheus and Oculus had some great things going on. You didn't see much of Morpheus, but they did say like it was going to be several $100s. And they did say that there were 30 titles in development. So, you know, it's going to be pretty good. And so, you know, it's going to be pretty good out of the gate with some good stuff. Hopefully that Insomniac game, Edge of Nowhere, comes out, because I still like think like I want to play that more than maybe anything else. But if the Oculus Rift's any indication, and that's another thing that's more high end, it's like you need a PC to run it as well, which kind of sucks because it's going to take. I can't get it because you have to get a high end PC and you have to get that, which is going to be like $900.
Right. And then, you know, I've heard people talking like, well, and you kind of need like a special chair, like you really need to dedicate a room to this stuff. And you know, it's a valiant effort. I really think what's going to happen, because at first, you know, I was like, this is all just like prototypes. We're not going to see any of this stuff come to market. I think after this E3, yes, we are going to see all of these come to market. But I think it's going to be like, okay, this is the genesis of it. Have fun with it. But really, what's going to happen is when this console cycle is over, our new machines are going to be the VR. You know, like there will probably be a box that powers the VR unit, but it's going to be built around that instead of this being, you know, something that you add on to it. And I don't know, like the weird thing though is that I watched some of the stuff. I came away less impressed than I thought I would. And it really kind of just hammered home the point to me that it's really hard to show this stuff off without experiencing it. I looked at the trailer for Rig.
Yeah, I like that.
See, to me, it was like, okay, well, this looks like a standard, like, first-person, you know, like, multiplayer, like, arena-type game. But then it's intercut with, like, these really bad reactions of people that are supposed to be, like, in the VR world, where they're overacting, and it's like, like, I'm sure it's cool. I'm sure it's cool when you get in there.
That part.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, no, yeah, it was bad. It was.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, like I say, I like that, but then I realized when I was writing down like games that I should remember to talk about, I didn't write that one down. Right. I forgot about it. Well,
but like the one you were talking about, the Insomniac one, the Edge of Nowhere, like I looked at it and I was like, well, that looks really cool, but it also doesn't look like anything that I couldn't just play with a controller on my TV like normal. Like it just seems like a really interesting third-person adventure game, but that's the thing is that I have no context for what it would be like with that VR headset. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah, but
and
did you
the
listen
trailer
to what Ted Price said? Because he was he was talking about how like that the helmet is basically just used for your camera, and that's one thing that you hate in most games is like the way the camera controls. But now it's just fully to do with your head, and it's just every way that you look at it. It's like they're getting so close to your first gut instinct of where you're going to be looking or where you want to look that it's going to take away much of the problem we have with that issue in games.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then I also start thinking like, how do you play this stuff? Like, okay, so that's a good point. You know, like using your head as the camera and then you're just controlling your character with the controller like normal. But a lot of the stuff that they show, I almost feel like, and it's weird too because you know, Kinect is almost dead at this point. but it almost feels like what you need is a virtual reality headset and then a body scanning thing like the Kinect. Because I almost feel like if I'm in a world where if I feel like I'm in a world, I almost don't want to know that I'm controlling it with a controller. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know how that works. Like, okay, so the HoloLens demonstration with Minecraft, it looked cool. Well, one, I don't know how they actually showed that on TV. Like, I don't know how, like, when that seemed like some sort of fakery, because I don't know how you get to see what he's seeing, for one.
Yeah. Someone who I was watching that with was like, yeah, but like, how are they doing that? And I was like, oh, well, they have the lens on. They have the actual HoloLens. And he's like, yeah, but like, how are they showing it to everyone else? I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought.
Yeah, I guess they have a lens over it.
I don't know, but then the other thing is like, well, how is he controlling it with his hands? Is that a Kinect thing? And if so, I mean, they've kind of removed the Kinect from the Xbox One equation at this point. So where does that leave that game?
It's probably the same thing that shoots out an image also senses your hand in reality, just like the thing that senses where the table is.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
So yeah, it's probably like seamless and is always looking where the image will be because it puts the image there. You know? Yeah. So and it'll never be likely to like not read you or like take you out of 3D or something like the 3DS does.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to think like, I mean, like I said, like on one of the previous episodes, the ability to actually just manipulate the blocks in Minecraft with my hand is a lot more appealing to me than like manually going in, hacking at this block, lifting this block and moving it over here. Like, it just seems like, no, right. This is the actual virtual Lego set that, Minecraft is supposed to be.
Just like I didn't like moving shaders in Fallout, that's the same reason I don't like playing Minecraft, and I don't like making levels in Little Big Planet as much as I really wish I did. Because like it just takes you out of it so much, like the idea of creation when you can't manipulate it with your hands. This gets rid of all that, and it also gives you voice controls. Like when they say lightning TNT and it strikes the TNT that's on like this big screen that you're looking at, like all these different blocks, it just goes right to it right away. Yeah. You don't have to like zoom in on it, press your lightning, press your TNT boxes. You just like drop them all down really fast and like make the whole world explode, and then you could see underneath, or just shoot a lightning pig and turn it into a like werewolf pig lightning thing.
Yeah, and it made me think like it'd be really like I never really got into these games back in the day, but like the idea of bringing back like the god game genre, like Populous or ActRaiser, and doing it in that style is very appealing to me.
Yeah, Godus is gonna look good.
Yeah. Now you talked about like not really liking creating levels in Little Big Planet, Patrick, but what about creating levels in Mario Maker?
Yeah, oh my god, like seeing things in Mario Maker makes me just want to buy the system again, but then I think maybe they'll re-release it on NX when that comes out.
Right.
But there's just like so many different things that I didn't even realize were in there until I saw this extended look at Mario Maker. Like you could turn into Link. Oh my god.
So finally a use for amiibos.
Yeah. What did you like in it?
I'm sorry?
What did you like in Mario Maker?
Well, it was little things, actually. So here's the thing that I have not liked about Mario Maker that I've seen so far is that everything that they've shown so far is let's make the toughest Mario level that we can possibly make. Let's just throw a bajillion things like this. And it's like, well, that doesn't look very fun, guys. Like, it looks really impressive, like when you pull it off, and like speedrun type people are going to dig that stuff. But I would just want to make like some really solid ass Mario levels that are fun to play. But what really appealed to me, besides the melding of the different art styles, is the way that you actually build the levels with the gamepad. Actually using the stylus to like, you pick the type of block you want, then you just tap on the screen and like drag it across. Yeah. And then I was thinking, well, how do you program logic like going down pipes? And then they answered that really easy. Like you make a pipe, you click on Mario, and you drag him on top of the pipe, and then drag him down, and it tells the game, okay, this pipe actually takes you somewhere now. Where before it would have just been background. And it just that's one little thing, and it's like, that is so smart, and that's so Nintendo, where it's like you don't even it's something that I would have figured out on my own. Like I wouldn't even had to have been told that. It just makes sense. And a lot of times when you have these games where you can create levels and stuff like that, it's like you almost have to be a level designer, like journeyman, before you can even like tackle that stuff. But here it's like, I think your 4-year-old could make like a bunch of really cool levels in this game. So it's a lot more appealing than I thought it would have been. And damn it, Nintendo.
Yeah, I think that's why they even gave us the stylus. It was probably one of their ideas from the get-go to turn everybody into developers for Nintendo. And they said they didn't want to do stuff like that. They got you, though, because it looks so easy and effortless. And they look exactly like what professional guys would do with a tablet, except it's even more integrated into a game type of atmosphere, so it makes it fun for you as well. Yeah, it's a really good stepping stone.
Yeah. And, I'm curious to see, just how many, like, of those amiibos actually work and integrate stuff. Like, if you can put Mega Man in there, like just, I mean, it's done. It's done. Like Game of the Year. Like, people are just going to, like, eat that up. So, it's got a lot of potential. It's and I also noticed, just as, before we move on, like, they actually have some sprites in there that I've never seen before. I saw this Bowser sprite that's definitely like a 16-bit style sprite, but it is not the Mario World Bowser. And it's not the Nintendo Bowser. It's like this something completely different. I was like, okay. There's actually some new content in there as well. So it's not just rehashing old Mario stuff.
And they're really good with hybridizing different kinds of Mario. When I watched the Mario Paper Jam thing, like they had the 16 or 8-bit Mario mixed in with the 64-bit, like seamlessly, or, it's not 64 bits anymore, but like the 3D with the 2D. Yeah. And like you could have both at the same time and you were all in the same party. And that's the one thing I was hoping they would do in Mario Maker 2, because that's the only way people are really going to feel like they're making something unique, or at least something like out of the ordinary that hasn't been made in a Mario game before. They get to pick through, either the old school visuals or the new school visuals, and they get to pick from other things that maybe weren't even in levels at all before. So it's like, oh yeah, this level is completely my own. It's not like I just repurposed this boss from an old game or something like that.
Right. And, Nintendo's been surprisingly aggressive with DLC for the Wii U. The stuff that they've added to like Mario Kart 8 and Super Smash Brothers is pretty amazing. So I was thinking, like, for sure at some point we're going to get like the US Super Mario Brothers 2 tile set in there. Because even though it's not like a big thing in Japan, it is over here. I think that's going to be a thing. I bet we do get like Paper Mario style assets. But then I could even see them going even further and saying like, well, no, straight up, here's Zelda, here's the Zelda blocks, here's the Zelda environments, like make the adventure of Link starring Mario.
Yeah, Zelda Maker.
Yeah. Well, because people have been joking about like, oh, well, are they going to do Zelda Maker and Metroid Maker? I don't think that they do those as separate games. I think that there's add-ons to Mario Maker that allow you to do stuff like that.
Full price add-ons.
Maybe.
Because that sounds like a big undertaking.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking if it's just tile sets, like not trying to do the logic, like obviously not trying to like turn Mario into an overhead game, but if you're just like, oh no, like instead of like the normal Mario style like red bricks, this is like Zelda style blue dungeon walls. You know what I mean? Like, kind of stuff like that. Like, I don't know. They could definitely play around with it.
Yeah, definitely. So like through all of it that you've seen, do you think that you have like a new game you're anticipating the most this year?
This year
or next year, I guess. Like, did anything really change your mind? Because over this past day of just delving deeper, I think I'm feeling way different than I did even the last time we podcasted.
No, I think I'm still pretty set with Xenoblade for this year and Horizon for next year. But there are games on my radar now that weren't before. Like For Honor is a big deal now for me. Mario Maker's another one that I had kind of just dismissed out of hand. But as real as it gets, Pixelbit user and listener had commented on the first E3 episode that we did, because he, on last week's full episode of Nerds Without Pants, I had been talking about this idea that I've had lately of just kind of retiring from the actual day-to-day paying attention to the video game industry that I've been doing for my whole life, where I would just be like, no, you know what? I'm going to be one of those people who buys like one game a year, and I'm going to go back and play all of these backlog games that I've been hoarding for years, and just kind of slowly remove myself from the scene. And he asked, like, do you still feel that way? Because he was feeling really pumped, and it's like, no, I feel rejuvenated now. There's so much on the horizon, no pun intended. There's just so many things that look new and fresh and interesting, and little things too. Like you see certain things where the game industry is changing. Like, I'm glad that I'm not the only one who noticed it, but like there are a lot of really interesting looking female protagonists coming up in video games that are not, the crazy, overly sexed up ones. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind if a female character is sexed up. I like looking at sexy ladies, but
I mean, it makes sense that she would be in shape, right? Like the Horizon girl has to be in shape, otherwise it wouldn't be believable. Like that she would escape robotic dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, but she also looks very tribal and very like all of the stuff that she's wearing seems very conducive to someone that's hunting. And someone's living nomadically. Yeah. But it's nice to see that, and then and I don't.
It was like a wildling.
Yeah, definitely. But and this, I think, is a good time to start talking about it. But it's funny, and I'm not one of those people who was complaining about the character designs for Quiet on Metal Gear Solid 5. But I did think it was funny when they showed her on the character select screen, and she's like a slender built woman. She's not like super curvy or anything like that. But all they did was like put her onto the screen, and her boobs started jiggling, and I was like, okay, that's weird, like that.
There's probably better support.
Yeah, that didn't really need to be done, but yeah, I know we're about to have a disagreement, but go ahead and tell me what you were thinking of Phantom Pain, because I think we both watched a pretty good chunk of the actual gameplay demo that they showed.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have seen the new 40-minute one that just came out today, but I still have to watch that, I think, because I've been rejuvenated in the franchise. I don't know, just seeing the longer trailer with everything that was going on in it. Like, I saw the one beforehand where Quiet shoots Snake's cigar at the end. And I was like, oh, that was really short, and they didn't show much. But then in this one, I saw, I don't know, a lot more. I can't even really explain, though, why I'm like so happy about it. It just seemed more realistic, and like there was like a higher tension between Snake and the skull guy, and it seemed like it was like higher stakes because he was, it seemed like even more pissed off at life. And I don't know what that like horn is coming out of his head.
That thing is bothering me. It's real. They have not like even bothered to like address it at all. It's just like it seems to grow over the course of the game, and it's like, is it supposed to be some sort of indicator of your morality? Because that's really dumb in Metal Gear, guys. Like,
or is it immortality? Is it like he's the devil or something?
Yeah,
and like his horns are coming up.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this a lot like the last couple of days, because Metal Gear has always been military sci-fi, right? Let's just call a spade a spade. But it's always been military sci-fi grounded in some sort of semblance of reality. Like the tech was like, because Metal Gear Solid 1 took place sort of in the future. Like, it was 1998 when we played that game. And I think it took place in like 2005. Okay, so it was just slightly in the future, and like so the tech reflected that. And then you get to like Metal Gear Solid 4 and like Metal Gear Rising, and stuff starts to get really weird with all of the bionics and stuff like that. Like really weird to the point where you're like, are there any humans left? But then you've
got what happens.
Well, okay, and that's fine. That it's future-y, science fiction-y stuff. But then with the beginning with Peace Walker on the PSP, and then they ported it to the consoles for the HD collection. That was a game that took place in the 70s that had technology that is light years ahead of what we have now. And at that point, it starts to like break down a little bit for me. And the same thing with Phantom Pain is like, there's stuff that I'm seeing in here where, like in the story trailer, where it's like, okay, now there's like kind of zombie cybernetic soldiers that remind me of something from Mass Effect, but this is taking place in the 80s. And he's using cassette tapes, but it's sort of an iPod thingy that he's using also. And there's holographic displays, and it's like, I don't know, it's weird in that sense. And I'm just really concerned about that game.
It mashes up a lot of the old with the new.
Yeah, like in a really weird way.
Tapes. It's sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Yeah, but at least there's a little bit of context for that. This just seems like... I mean, I realize that the military has access to stuff that we don't have for years, but this seems a little bit... Well, not a little bit. This seems like way past that realm.
Yeah, I mean, even the fact that a skull guy like that would be living, like they never used to have crazy bosses. Crazy of bosses. They still look like people. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say like maybe... Well, no, yeah, you're right, because even Psycho Mantis, like he was just kind of like a really skinny dude.
Yeah.
He didn't really have any weird deformities or anything.
He just had like latex on.
Yeah. But, you know, it's weird. And it was really surreal for me and kind of poignant when that trailer started and it says directed and cut by Hideo Kojima. Because, you know, that was always one of his babies, was doing the E3 trailers. And to think that that's going to be his last E3 trailer that he directs, at least for Konami.
Well, for Konami, he's not going to stop. He's going to do something like to shove it in their faces.
Maybe he's done. He's been doing this for a long time. Yeah. But yeah, so that was a little surreal. But then also the stuff that I'm hearing, you know, about the game itself seems, and also Ground Zeroes, the, you know, kind of echoes this for me, is that it seems very, like the open world thing is weird for one, but then also it's like within that open world, you're just doing like these little bite-sized missions that almost seem like they were designed for like a portable system where it's like get in, get out in like 5 minutes or less type of thing. Or maybe 10 minutes, you know, 10, 15, like something short like that, like these small digestible chunks where, you know, I've really liked the traditional Metal Gear style where it's like, this is a place that you're going to infiltrate. It's sectioned off into these other places that are gated off by, you know, keycard access or ability access or item access. And you're just going to kind of break it down as you go. And this does not seem like that. And couple that with the fact that still have not really seen Snake talk. Like, I know Kiefer is voicing the character, but, you know...
He did the over voice for one of the versions of the trailers, right? I watched a second trailer where he's talking about like how powerful the word is. I think that was pretty cool. That's when I thought to myself, oh, he could actually be a good Snake. When he said something like, you do not need to kill a man to change the world. You need to cut off his tongue or something like that.
Are you sure? Are you sure that was him though? Because I thought that was actually one of the other characters talking to Snake.
Oh, really?
That's the impression that I got. And that's the thing is that, like, the demo that I actually did watch about 20 minutes of that 40-minute gameplay demo. And like there's a part where he rescues this woman in the field, and it's just like a side mission or something, but you know, Snake would usually say something to a pretty lady in the field when he finds her, and nothing. Like there was hardly even any like grunts or anything coming from this character, and he's almost a silent protagonist at this point as far as I can tell. So that's just
maybe
a really
they just
weird.
Didn't add a lot of the voiceovers in. Maybe that's something they still have to work on because Kiefer's not so good at video game dialogue or something.
Maybe. I mean, you know, it's supposed to come out in September, so they should hopefully have that stuff locked in by now. But
yeah, well, like yesterday we were listening to Nick say how like even at the last possible moment they might not have the ground textures ready for a game like Star Fox, which like doesn't have that many textures in it at all either. Like that seems like a really big deal, and I think that you could patch in audio a little bit easier than that. So I don't know, it's probably just hit or miss what goes first.
Well, my impression has always been that voice acting is usually pretty early so that they have time to actually animate, you know, the characters doing the dialogue and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
They need that, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, then like it looks like it plays better than Ground Zeroes did. Like it looks like it's doing a little like stuff a little more interesting than what Ground Zeroes did.
I did not have fun in Ground Zeroes. I just stopped when you had to escape like with a prisoner because it was so slow the way you had to put the prisoner on the chopper, and then like to get everything you had to, or at least if you thought you might miss something, you had to get the other prisoners, and it's like damn it, by choice I'm going back for like these other prisoners, but I really think that it's supposed to be this way. And then you're just walking for like 5 minutes straight back and forth from
Mm-hmm.
like the instruction zone to your like the prison place when nobody's alive or like you've tranked everybody, and so it's just like so boring. There's got to be like better ways for them to do missions than that, and I hope they're not like that if they're all side missions, because that would turn me off again. That's probably why I stopped playing a lot of third world games like Watch Dogs. I stopped playing halfway through because it was like a lot of these missions are just the same. I have to do like a bunch of them and they get progressively harder, but like there's just like one iteration of the same type of a mission over and over again versus the Metal Gear style in the past, which was like one long mission that was just continuously evolving.
Right, and you know, and then when you think about the fact that a lot of those missions are you complete them and then you go back to base and then you redeploy, and it's like, you know, it at that point almost feels like, and it's not that I don't like games that are level based, but it almost feels you're going back to that old style, like here's level 1-1 and then do that, and then here's level 1-2, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not Metal Gear Solid, you know, for me at this point. You know, like it's like you said, Patrick, like that, I'm looking for that specific style, and I'm not seeing that here.
Yeah,
And maybe no, go
that
ahead.
looks like Mercenary Kings. Actually, the way you put it that way. Um, then I mean, I liked Mercenary Kings, but I only went back to it 2 or 3 times with my
Mm-hmm.
friends. It was fun to play together to a point, but then it was like we're doing the same level every single time. I need to see some variation. I'm used to variation.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a game, and you know, it's funny because I actually went on Amazon and I pre-ordered a couple things. Street Fighter Five, want that beta, yo. But I was looking at Metal Gear Solid 5 and I was like, you know, I'm going to wait for reviews, which I've never said about a Metal Gear game before. So take that
That's
for what you
funny. I
will.
mean, you brought me down on that. I was gonna say that is my new most anticipated, maybe like besides Battlefront, definitely. But like even above Battlefront, I've even seen more footage in Battlefront in the past day that just astounds me. I love the way you can co-op with people. I love how Luke Skywalker comes out at the end of that trailer and runs up to lightsaber sword fight
hmm
with Darth Vader. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to that. I don't know, like I'm not, I don't know that I'm ready to pre-order it because I think I want to wait and see, like make sure that like people that I know are playing it and then
Hmm.
see what they're saying about it, and then I might go ahead and dive in. Because you know,
Yeah.
multiplayer is just such a weird proposition for me. But I've been wanting a
Hmm.
multiplayer game to try to get into. I thought it would be Evolve, and then Evolve kind of fizzled. And
Yeah.
you know, this seems like kind of more up my alley anyway. So
This
looking,
seems like more of a hit. This is going to be like a monster, maybe, coupled
yeah,
with
I
like
think so.
the release of like Star Wars and Christmas and everything like that. Like, it's just like you said, 1998 all over again. It
Yeah,
feels like being a kid, and like for the kids that are growing up now, they're gonna feel like we did when we grew up with new Star Wars coming out and like being hopeful all the time and like playing all those Star Wars games like Pod Racer and stuff like that. Except they're gonna be way better.
I hope so. You know, the weird thing too is that Disney themselves have kind of gotten away from the video game industry. Now there are exceptions, obviously, like that Disney Infinity, but they aren't leveraging their properties in video game form as much as they could be. I mean, you know, you see that like most of the Marvel games are coming out on mobile or free to play on PC. Um, you know, other than Star Wars Battlefront, there's really not another Star Wars game in development right now. When I think that people are hungry for it, and they could be doing a lot of amazing things with the Force on PS4 and Xbox One. But I don't know if it's because they're hesitant or maybe Star Wars Battlefront is like the test case. Like, if this does gangbusters, then we'll open the floodgates. But yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
we're all ready for Star Wars to be in video game form again because it's been a long time. I think what was like Force Unleashed 2 might have been the last really big one. So it's been a
Yeah,
long
and
time.
Battlefront 2 even on PS3? Like,
No, that was PS2 days.
yeah, I thought so. Like, it
Yeah.
skipped an entire generation.
Yeah. Well, they had been, there was one in development by Pandemic Studios, who was they were the creators of the first two, but then they folded. And then it wasn't until after they went out of business that some of the assets started to come out of that. But yeah, there was one in the works, but it just never took off. And then, now we have DICE working on it. But I think they're a good successor to the throne.
Yeah, definitely. I like playing DICE games. I even like playing the ones that they make that like aren't even successful. They just know they're pretty similar in a lot of ways to each other, but they know how to make that first person shooter because they've made a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Did you have any others to hit? I think I'm almost tapped out unless you jog my memory on something.
Yeah, that's most of the stuff that I saw. I mean, I did see like other things that you guys were happy about recently too, like Firewatch. It was another one we should just re-mention because it was like so eerie the way that the guy was running around and putting stuff together. It reminded me like the early days of PC when you played Myst and stuff like that, except it's the early days of like Oculus.
Yeah, that's a real good point. It does kind of give me that like weird, like I don't know what's going on vibe, with the exception of like having somebody talking in your ear. But yeah,
I was like, I never felt that in a really long time, and it's why I want them to keep putting out games like Riven and stuff like that. Even if I'm not going to play them the whole way through, I just like that idea of like it's a sense of wonder everywhere.
Yeah,
which is what I'm hoping like that new game from the creator of Braid is going to be like. But I don't know. At least we'll have that because that definitely scratches that itch. Because who was in that fucking tower?
Yeah, and then it makes you wonder all sorts of things. Like, is it a horror game? Is it like just an action thing where you're there's some person that you're trying to stop? Like maybe it's just some sort of like serial killer that you are trying to put an end to, or like it could be a million things. And it's funny because again, I was listening to Giant Bomb and they had one of the developers on, never got a straight answer as to what that game is. They were on for like half an hour and never really got what it's supposed to be. So I'm very curious.
That's awesome. It seems like it really is a big mystery that you have to unravel. So I always like those kind of games, and it just made me invigorated for like all virtual reality. And that wasn't the only one. There was also Time Traveler, which answers the questions like why do all children love dinosaurs pretty well. That's like what the lady said in that speaks to you, and that itches the same kind of thing. It's like, are all these things gonna be like the beginning of the PC days again? It's like almost like a reboot to like how we're making games in there. Like you kind of have to pare it down a little bit since it's virtual reality in some ways maybe, and do some live action.
I just had the greatest idea. Jurassic World, virtual Jurassic World theme park in VR. Don't even it doesn't have to be a game. Just visit the park. Just visit the park.
Yeah. And once every like month the park goes to hell or something like that.
Right. And then you have all the stories of like kids wetting themselves, like playing this virtual reality game.
Yeah, because their parents got it for them, and they didn't know that happens sometimes.
Like you were warned. There were 4 movies that warned you about this.
Yeah, you said it was just a tour in the park.
That's what they said too.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of VR and stuff out there that I'm really excited about. I don't know really what else there is, but I know that there's other stuff that I haven't even mentioned because I just saw so many cool things in this past year. And day.
Yeah.
Not year.
It's been a long day. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think definitely we'll be, as we get more information on this stuff, like we'll probably talk more about it as, episodes of Nerds Without Pants continue. And, obviously as we start to get our hands on demos and stuff like that, like that Street Fighter V beta is next month. So, I'll definitely have some stuff to say on the show about that because I plan on playing that hopefully it's not one of those crappy, like it's a weekend beta. it's 2 days from these hours to these hours, and oh, sorry, Julian, you were busy that weekend, so you didn't get to play.
Yeah. Well, I do know that you can play like a beta or a focus test, they're calling it, at Gearbox in Dallas. So you should make a weekend trip over there or something. I don't know how far it is. Probably too long to drive, but
Yeah, it's a few hours, but that'd be fun.
they said they're doing like 3 or 4 a week now, and like about 10 people or 12 people in each one. So like to be able to play that with one of 10 characters, I think now would be really cool. They're trying to get anybody that they can to help balance the game out. So it seems like they're really far along.
Yeah, that's nice. That's some good stuff. And you know, it's interesting. That's another thing that I've noticed this year is developers trying to involve the communities even earlier than normal to really get that feedback, but you know, while they can still make changes to the games.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because lines of communication have gotten better and they maybe have wanted to for a long time. It's just like, why wouldn't you? It's free QA.
Right. Definitely. Well, I think that's probably done it for this. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I think we tied up all the loose ends, and now we've given a complete E3 showing.
Yeah, I'm spent. There's just so much gamer spooge that you can, you know, throw out in a week before you're just done. And I think I've reached that point.
Play games.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because like when I would go to E3, I'd be like so jazzed, but then I would get home and be like, oh, but I can't play any of that stuff. I'll just play these old games. But this year, I'm actually like, it makes me like excited to play my stuff. Like I'm actually like, oh man, I should hook up my Wii U. I should play some Wii U stuff. You know, I should do some more stuff. You know, I have barely been playing games in the last month or two. Well, partially has been I've just been busy, but also just I've been doing other stuff. But I'm kind of feeling like no, I want like a really good weekend of like just two days and a Friday evening of just nothing but game. Just feel really terrible about myself Monday morning, but also kind of happy that I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to do that too. I got to pull myself away from the Rocksmith that I've been playing. It's just like I feel so much better about myself when I play that versus other games that are out right now. It's going to take a lot for me to pull a game into my hands again. And some of these games seem like they are the ones to do it.
You should at least go ahead and pull the trigger on the ending of Bloodborne. You're right there. You've been right there. You should just go ahead and do that.
It's probably going to take me like 30 hours to get the ending because like I've been out of it for so long and it's so dependent on like twitching like your dodge button at the right time and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you go basically relearn the entire game by like running through old areas just to remember how it works.
Yeah, it's probably safe to say I need to level up some more too.
Yeah.
If I was at my best, I could probably beat it where I'm at right now, but not anymore. Maybe I'll wait for the remake.
No, that's silly. And we're silly also. We did 3 nights of podcasting, and I'm getting a little hoarse, and I've still got Slam Masters to record probably Sunday or Monday, and another Nerds Without Pants next Wednesday. So, you know, a lot on the plate. I hope you all enjoyed these episodes. Feedback seems to be pretty good in the comments and stuff like that. But, you know, share them with your friends. Let people know what, you know, and let us know what you've been excited about and what you've been eyeing at the shows, or at the show rather. There's plenty of stuff that we, I'm sure, forgot to talk about or didn't even see. There was so much. So, you know, let us know about stuff that we missed, and maybe we'll talk about it next week. But I think that's going to do it. Yeah, of course, you can find us on social media. Patrick, go ahead and let people know about this weekend as well one last time.
Oh, yeah. I'm at Some Boss, and this weekend I'll be at the Hideout doing a show that's for a bunch of different people giving short story, fictitious dialogues for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it's spliced with a bunch of professional singer-songwriters that are showing off a bunch of new material, or sometimes they end up doing like covers of stuff at the end too and really get the crowd going. It's like about 100 to 200 people that are packed in a pretty tight space. It's Andrew Bird's favorite place to play in the entire city. I think he said in the Midwest it's his favorite venue. It's just a really unique kind of place off Ashland and North Avenue. So just in the like warehouses around there, you guys should come if you're around Chicago.
If you're in the Chicago area, go check Patrick out. And you can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. Also, Angelo, who couldn't be here tonight, but he's been very active on Twitter about his E3 excitement. So go follow him at A Roguish Ham. And until next time, for myself and Patrick, thanks for listening, and keep it pantsless, Internet. Goodbye.
Oh, now I gotta play some games.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Video Games. We continue today in our series of games with simple plots. Guests, please introduce yourselves and tell us the plots of your games.
I'm the chef from Burger Time. I make the burgers.
Hello, I'm Centipede. I just kind of moved down the screen.
Hey, I'm Snake from Metal Gear Solid. My game's got a pretty simple story.
Snake, I don't see your name on the list.
My friend Cloud Strife told me to come on this show and talk about
Oh god, no.
It was the distant future 2005. All I wanted to do was chill out and retire. A bunch of genetically enhanced renegades named Foxhound stole a bunch of nukes and had shit on lockdown.
Okay, we're past our time limit, Snake.
Colonel Campbell said I had to infiltrate before they start a nuclear conflict. What a bunch of jerks.
You're a bag of dicks.
I climbed through an air vent and saved two guys. They shared top secrets and suddenly died of 2 heart attacks right out of thin air. All within 5 minutes.
Oh my god, I don't care!
Then I met Meryl, a high boxer rock, and I fought a gunslinger named Ocelot. But a cyborg ninja cut his hand away. You know, normal shit that happens every day. This is Snake, there must have been a mistake. On the show, you gotta get right to the point of the game. Like the shit from Gallagher. I shoot stuff in space? And this car from pole position. I'm a car! That's great! You know we've been through this before with the boy that was driving. Talk to another, contemplating ending my life. So let's keep it nice and simple like the hero over there. Put me in target, give me adventure. I'm literally just a yellow square! Who cares? I tried real hard to find a Mac named Rex. And then she came back in the mix like Jack. It was Gray Fox and I fought Volk and Raven. A big motherfucking Alaskan shame me to kill that guy before he died. He said Meryl liked me, I almost cried. She's a little hottie pants to me, yeah.
It would be so great if you died right now.
I killed Sniper Wolf, who was absurdly high, and then murdered 3 guys and an evil robot. So Liquid Snake and I were left alone. He said that I was his brother and a superior clone. Then he died of a virus and thinking fast. Meryl saved us.
I don't give a frog's fat ass.
Then we stayed together till the 7-year itch. And now you know the simple plot of Metal Gear, bitch. This is Snake, I'm taking all I can take. Just because it gets simple doesn't mean that it's lame. Tell the kid from Paper Boy. No, I'm the little those pigs. We got from everything interaction. Elevators. Okay.
And save the world. The end. My god, can I get a replacement guest with a simple plot, please?
Hi, I'm Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
No!